Hello and welcome to In the Light Growing Your Soul with me, Anna Isabel. And today I am joined by Brigitte Mars. Hello, Brigitte.
Hello, thank you.
You are here because I have stumbled across this gem.
Oh, thank you.
It,
Yes, that just came out.
yes, it has, and it's natural remedies for mental and emotional health. And I think it's a treasure trove of information. It's one of those books you don't want to put on the shelf. You want it handy because you need to. It's a good reference, I would
Yeah,
say.
and we
And
probably all know people that have lots of those problems, anxiety, depression, grief, trauma, um, memory loss. So, yep, I wanted to write about it all. I've been working with all those conditions for many years.
so, tell us about what you do when you're not writing.
Okay. Well, I'm a medical herbalist, so I do many things. I love the idea of multiple streams of income. I teach herbal medicine at Naropa University, and I also have a private practice. I'm also an end-of-life doula, a psychedelic sitter, and I also crochet. I'm a mother and grandmother.
The one that made me kind of smile and giggle is psychedelic sitter. Can you explain that, please?
Yes, indeed. So for many, many years, I've always sat with people who were doing very strong plant medicine, and I help create safe space for them. I'm not the grower or the medicine maker, but I learned long ago that it was very important if someone was going to do such things, if they be in a safe set and setting. I'm not like, oh, this is for concerts and festivals and parties. No, this is like for deep inner exploration. And that's something I do address in my book, Natural Remedies for Mental and Emotional Health. It's not for everybody, but there are many people who are finding that it gives them the opportunity to let go of, emotional baggage that they've been carrying around, or maybe just help them see beyond the regular day-to-day life and see that there's more. I'm also an end-of-life doula, so sometimes when people have these psychedelic experiences, they realize there's more than meets the eye and that there is more. And, sometimes they even feel like, wow, I think I believe in God now. So I always feel like that's success.
Fantastic. It's I hadn't heard the term before, but it's wonderful to know that you're doing that because it seems to me that we're in the West tampering with things aren't that are very powerful. And once upon a time, it would have been a shaman who would have been there to help people along that journey. So to make it safe and accessible and understandable. So it's wonderful that you are doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And, of course, my main work is helping people to heal not only their physical problems, but their emotional problems. And I don't really claim to heal anybody. I claim to give people information so that they might learn, like, well, maybe if I eat more colorful fresh fruits and vegetables or get off of some of the things I'm allergic to, maybe my mental fog or my child's attention deficit might improve. And it's interesting because in, most many cultures around the world, when people have physical problems, they go to one kind of doctor, but when they have mental issues, they go to another kind of doctor. And we already have, for many decades, known that the emotional body affects the physical body. We know that stress can be a factor in your ulcers or your migraines, but we also need to realize that problems with our physical body can be causing mental problems like anxiety and depression and, lingering grief that we can't shake, or even feeling foggy, or even impaired memory.
Yes, indeed. And that brings us to gut health, because we know that there's a lot that happens in the gut that can actually affect us for better or for worse. So actually, that's a good place to start, because you do address that in the book, and particularly when we're talking about stress. So tell us about the hormones that the gut is connected with.
Well, we know that, good digestion is a big part of our immune system. And I don't think that was always known. People thought, oh, that's something separate. But of course, it's all connected. And another thing that we're learning even more about is that many of our brain, our neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that travel throughout our body, like serotonin, are made in our gut. So if someone is on some sort of medication, including antibiotics, and granted that they can be life-saving, but a lot of people take them for every little thing, or maybe they're eating animals that are treated with antibiotics, and that's affecting them. Or, another thing is maybe people are eating things that they're allergic to, and it might be their favorite thing. It might be, oh, but I love pizza or I love peanut butter. But we know that if you eat something that you're allergic to, it can cause inflammation in the joints, in the skin, in the form of like acne and eczema. It could cause inflammation in our sinuses, so where we get all congested, but it can also cause inflammation in our brain. And rather than thinking there's just something wrong with you, it might be that you're putting the wrong fuel into your, vehicle. And it might be that there's some food to eat, to not eat. There might be some herbs you could try. So this is actually a very gentle approach. Many of these remedies are things that have been used by millions of people for thousands of years. And very often, when people say they trust the science, I've worked in a holistic pharmacy for many years, and I've seen a lot of those drugs that were approved get recalled pretty quickly. So it's not like I don't want to say I mistrust the science, but I'm going to trust also historical evidence and the beauty of nature, and that when we use natural remedies, it's also good for the planet. I love using things that are growing in fields where there's bees and butterflies and hummingbirds, rather than drugs that are maybe isolated from plants but don't contain the whole plant, or made from petrochemical things. So, yeah.
Well, indeed. And as we have discovered, I think many of us, that trusting the science is not always the best route, because as we well know, then it's a bit like when people used to say, which God? Oh, which science? Which science are we following here? Because unlike we have been led to believe, there are many different views on different scientific matters. And not all science is equal either. So we do need to keep an open mind and not treat everything as though it is the word from above. So it's a good point that you've made there. You're you're going with something that has been tried and tested over, well, I guess the history of humanity, which is herbal medicine.
Yes, it's true. And I see that it really works well. But I will also say, Anna Isabel, that natural medicine is for people that are motivated. Very often people are willing, like, no, doctor, just give me the pill. I don't want to cut back on alcohol or go to bed earlier or go to therapy with my partner. I really don't want to give up smoking. So again, there's plenty of drugs out there that you can do, but if you're motivated or you're curious, why not give this a try? Because you'll probably find that everything else improves your health, your beauty, your energy, your frame of mind. It's so worth it. And it's such a beautiful process. I was at a party a few weeks ago, and man said, well, I have high blood pressure, but my doctor's going to get it down. And I said, well, don't you think you should try to get it down? Like, can you help? Is it only the doctor? I mean, he's not going to go home and make dinner for you, or like, no, one cup of coffee, that's enough. So there's so many ideas, and it's not just food and herbs in natural remedies for mental and emotional health. It's what colors do you choose to wear? It's how you choose to decorate. It's that maybe are you wearing synthetic fragrances that are actually neurotoxic? You've probably had that experience. Someone walks by you and you can smell them a whole block away, and whatever. I'm glad they like their perfume, but what's it made out of? And we also know that what you put on your bodies ends up in your bloodstream. And so it's not just like, oh, it's nice perfume exuding out there. No, it's going into your bloodstream. And what's that made out of? Maybe you should find out. And this is also an opportunity as we take better care of our planet. Our planet is really suffering right now. So I'm really always going to say, why not try natural remedies first and figure out what you can do? There's so many things, even, many of them don't even cost anything, like getting outdoors in full spectrum light, or breathing more deeply into your belly, or learning about feng shui, and know that if your life is really cluttered, that might make your mind feel overwhelmed and unable to function.
It's interesting that you mentioned synthetic fragrances because that was a discussion I was having with a canine behaviorist
Mm.
for my other channel, Pet Talk, and
Oh.
the effect that it has on dogs. These very heavy scents where they then feel trapped because obviously they're extremely sensitive. And I think that it does affect us all, even if we don't realize it, because I think sometimes I wonder whether due to the number of processed foods and synthetic stuff that's out there, whether our senses have not been dulled, because how how could you not be affected by that?
Oh, it's overwhelming. And again, many people are using, multiple products, dozens of products in a day on their hair, on their skin, under, deodorant, foot cream, neck cream, eye cream. There's a lot of products out there. And, one thing that we know that mineral oil, which is a petroleum byproduct, is in many products. I mean, mineral oil is what commercial baby oils are made out of. Like, why would you want to put a petroleum byproduct on your baby when, there's many nice natural oils if you needed to use something, olive oil or coconut oil or things that are used around the world. Um, so yes, the synthetic products and mineral oil, which is in, multiple products, and they might have the term petrolatum or petroleum or even Vaseline. They clog your pores and can impair the assimilation of fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and vitamin K. So, it really comes back to, figuring this out. And, something that it kind of amazes me because it's only now coming out in the mainstream, but decades ago, maybe like 50, 60 years ago, I had heard that aluminum was a very soft metal and that aluminum could come out in your food. So, I never bought anything aluminum. If I did, I'd, send it back or return it like, oh, I no, I you said it was stainless steel. It's only stainless steel on the outside. No, I wanted stainless steel on the inside. But now in the mainstream media, it's saying aluminum is a soft metal. And if you want to avoid having dementia and Alzheimer's later on in your years, maybe you should stop using aluminum now, in the form of baking your potatoes or fish, or cooking in aluminum cookware. Sometimes there's aluminum in calcium supplements. Antacid tablets will have aluminum in them. So that's one example. And, another example of heavy metal toxicity in the 1800s, it was noticed that hat makers would buy these, pieces of felt and dip them in mercury and then shape them into these, grand chapeaux. And then the hat makers would develop neurological disorders And they would say they're mad as a hatter, which we all know from Alice in Wonderland, but it was mercury toxicity. And for years, they were saying no, mercury fillings in your mouth, no problem. But it turns out it was a problem. And nowadays you can't even buy a thermometer that has mercury in it. It's so toxic, they don't even want you to have it in your house, much less in your mouth. But how many people had so much mercury put in their mouths? And could that be affecting them neurologically? Some people are more sensitive than others, but
Yes, some people are more sensitive than others, but I think what we need to remember is that if we're thinking, well, these things, they've never hurt me. What people are not understanding is the cumulative effect, that this is not I'm going to eat something, it makes me sick immediately. It's a cumulative effect, and it's a toll that ends up um, causing problems later on in life. And so I want to come back to herbs because, in a sense, this herbs suffer from the same thing because people want something that it's like the pill that makes everything quick, takes away the headache, takes away the sore throat, really, really quickly. But herbs also, it's a cumulative thing, isn't it?
well, some herbs are going to work right away. And like, for example, if I think I might have insomnia tonight and I use an herb like kava kava or valerian, it's probably going to work for me tonight. I don't have to take it for, weeks before it's going to work. But there's some things that it might take several weeks. And we also have to look at how long was this, distress, this digestive disturbance in the works. But, if you feel like, oh, I feel gassy or bloated right now, a cup of peppermint tea or ginger tea, it's going to work today. But when we think about long-term effects, like I want to nourish my bones, or I want to help my hair be stronger, I want to clear up my skin condition, the herbs along with diet are going to be most effective taken over a period of time.
So let's talk about stress because this is something that I would say is truly an epidemic. Everyone is feeling very stressed. There's very few people I've met who are not. So tell us how stress affects the body physically.
Well, we know that it impairs circulation, so that the blood might not be moving through our bodies as well. We certainly know it can be a factor in heart disease, in digestive disorders. Very often if you eat a meal and you're not in a good mood or you're arguing, it can backfire on you. So I'm really into mindful eating, take your portion and, get calm, say a blessing. Don't be eating while you're driving or walking or, um, and another factor is even like loud rock and roll music, which is often played in restaurants because they want you to eat and go. It kind of speeds everything up. It's not conducive to good digestion. So even the music we listen to, you're going to work, you're late, you're listening to the news, it's just like one stress. Your clothes aren't very comfortable, you're under fluorescent lighting, everything's so expensive, it's rush, rush, rush. So a few techniques I like to recommend, and I do write about them in Natural Remedies for Mental and Emotional Health, are to take time for self-care. And it might mean that you have to get ready for the next day the night before so that you don't start your day in a tizzy. Your clothes are laid out, maybe you've packed a healthy lunch, you've got what books and papers you need. So having a little bit of grace in the morning is a great thing. And self-care might also mean you're going to get up earlier, because so often we hit the ground running and we're going to fight with our teenagers, like, you are not leaving the house dressed in that, and you don't have cream for your partner's coffee or whatever it is, or there's no gas in the car. So if you get up early enough, maybe you're going to have time for yoga, and being dressed appropriately and not forgetting things. I'll tell you, I'm really, really big on having a day planner. This is the law of attraction planner. And I know a lot of people do everything on their phone, but I actually think that there's something multidimensional about having a day planner where you write things down and at the end of the day you cross it off. And if you didn't get to it, you write it down for tomorrow or try again, next week or something. But there's something very gratifying about like cross it off, I did it. And then what you need to add. And I don't think people are crossing stuff off on their phone as much. I think it's just contributes to the chaos, and not a good thing to do is to like look at your phone in a dark room and the light like is really intense going into your eyes. So, okay, we're so stressed. Maybe we're going to wear a calming color like blue. Maybe we're going to, I just want to like grab something here. So this is another remedy for stress. So instead of freaking out, maybe I'm going to open up a bottle of lavender oil. The important thing is to have it around and then take 5 deep inhalations with each nostril. This is actually rosemary oil. Rosemary is good for study and mental activity, but lavender is very calming. And I always say, would you rather go down Freak Out Freeway or Lavender Lane? And so smell what you smell. We were just talking about synthetic perfumes. You smell something nice and it goes right to your brain. So I don't mind getting a little lavender in my bloodstream or a little rosemary in my bloodstream or to my brain. And so rosemary is good for memory. So essential oils, aromatherapy might be another factor. And we do know breathing more deeply and fully, because very often when we're stressed, we breathe more shallowly. And if we're doing a lot of caffeine and sugar, which stressed out people often do, they go on, I'm so stressed, I need 2 cups of coffee. That's going to make us more stressed because the coffee is going to elevate our blood pressure and make our heart race a little faster. Whereas, what are you eating for breakfast? Are you eating empty calories? Are you eating things you're allergic to? Are you eating animals that are maybe really stressed because they were raised in a factory with the lights on 24/7 and bad smells and just horrible conditions? Like, how can you get great health, even if it's just eggs or dairy, if it's a factory farm where the animals are living in an anxious, horrific environment? So, things that are calming. I love to eat chia seeds. I soak them overnight, and then in the morning, I might put blueberries on them, which is good for the brain. I might put walnuts, which is high in omega-3 fatty acids, also good for the brain. I might put some energizing bee pollen, and rather than sugar, I might sweeten it with a little B vitamin rich dark maple syrup. Okay, and then I'm going to do what I can to make things clean and organized, because when you can't find things, that's stressful. I'm going to, I find walking to be very calming. Driving is really stressful, isn't it? I don't know how to do it, to tell you the truth. I've never learned to drive a car. And I do find that walking is sort of like a meditation. I take the bus and I fly on airplanes all around the world, but I've never flown one. I just fly on them. But the stress thing, maybe we need more B vitamins. So we've got things from the realm of food, aroma, color, slower music. If you're going to play music, you're going to have your day planner. And another thing that I think stresses people up or out, I don't know, both, is that they're overwhelmed and they miss appointments, and they hold it in their head all the time, like, oh my, I know I have an appointment this week, but I don't remember what day it is. I lost the address. I don't remember, is it what the cost is? Is it a potluck? Is it someone's birthday? Am I supposed to bring something? So get it out of you and onto paper, because as we get to be like, over 20, there's just so many things. Maybe we're not only dealing with our responsibilities, but our partners, our kids, our bosses, the places that we work at. So I love all those techniques, getting outdoors in full spectrum light. I think one of the things that really keeps me sane is I love it and it's a luxury, but soaking in the bathtub after all my work is done, and I don't use that much water because I'm, sort of like I'm definitely an environmentalist. I often will give the water to the plants on the balcony, but I find that if I could soak in the bathtub at the end of the day, we are so blessed, if we live in a place where you have hot water coming out of the tap. I lived in a teepee for 2.5 years and bathed it in an ice cold river. And I still can't get over that. Like, wow, hot water comes out of the tap. Oh, this is so great. Every day I get to enjoy this. It's a good day. And if I can enjoy it, I'll go back to the, pouring a bucket over myself in the creek. But I'm very, very grateful. And, a lot of times I tell my clients to make a list of all the things you're grateful for, because it's really easy to start identifying with my arthritis, my headaches, uh my hemorrhoids. It ends up you're carrying around, but like, what about all the things that are working? And so sometimes we have to have that gratitude check in, and a little bit of stress makes us try to figure it out. And that can really be an opportunity. Maybe you decide, well, I'm going to, clean up my diet, or I'm going to learn about feng shui, or I'm going to get a day plan, or I'm going to read Brigitte's book, Natural Remedies for Mental and Emotional Health, and read it with a yellow highlighter and try some of this stuff out. And not only might I help myself, but I maybe can help some of my friends and relatives too.
I think listening to you, there's quite a lot there. Firstly, this is about self-empowerment. And for people who want to not be fixed, but to fix themselves, this is exactly what we're talking about. It's addressing the deeper issues that are causing the stress or the anxiety or whatever it is that people are struggling with. And I think, just listening to you there, the issue for so many people is this belief that I don't have time. And some of my clients actually don't have time, because I have clients who are working 12, sometimes 13 hours a day. And it's a question of, well, how do we get through this period? Because they're looking for a way out of that. So we're working on helping them find a way out of that. But in the meantime, while they're stuck, and one of the things that I and you were talking about the lavender oil, is I often suggest that they put in an alarm at so that they can breathe at intervals, so that there's a breathing break where they can just breathe. And the lavender is a great one to add to that. I think I suggested to a client recently that she have rosemary or lavender plant on her desk, because she's able to do that, so that she could just stroke it and release those beautiful scents. These are things that are not going to add to the stress of having to remember one more thing to do, from the point of view that sometimes time really is very limited. But the bath before bedtime, I think, is a huge one for people. If they can do that, and I, having been a shower person pretty much all my life, I have, in the last 4 months, decided that I was going to do that, because there was so much going on in my life. And what a difference it makes. It's a full stop on the end of the day. And I have Epsom salts that I've mixed with Himalayan salts, and then I can add lavender oil or rose oil or something to that. And it just is a full stop on the day. And I can actually feel my muscles change. It's almost like a massage to have that warmth to
It,
soak.
it's true. And there's something very womb-like. I mean, you have to stand up in a shower and hold yourself up. And, if you're really, really going through it, like a divorce or death or angst, another technique is not to give the water to your plants, but to stay in the tub as you let the water out and just visualize all your stress going down the drain. And I want to mention one other little handy tool, Rescue Remedy. It's one of the many Bach flower remedies. This little thing, it's like a miracle in a bottle. You already know about it, Anna Isabel. But Rescue Remedy, what is it good for? I want to say I've used it for fear and anxiety, like fear of public speaking, fear of flying for the first time, fear of meeting your in-laws, fear of going to a job interview, uh, having an argument with your beloved. Like, okay, I know we're fighting. Let's just take some remedy and then we can keep going. And then the argument turns around a little bit.
You know,
But I love that. It's
it,
also good for like trauma, like, oh my gosh, I was so mad at my kids when they were like 12 and 16. They went and got tattooed. Okay, like they skipped school and went and got tattooed. And it's like, what? What? Mr. Wizard believed you were 18? This, but mommy, we took Rescue Remedy. Oh, you good little kittens. I'm so proud of you that you knew to use that. So, anyways.
well, I had a cat who could testify to Rescue Remedy. So he had been attacked by another cat,
Mm.
and there were some puncture wounds on him. And anyway, it was quite a traumatic experience for him. And we gave him Rescue Remedy. Um, we gave him Rescue Remedy for a couple of nights, just a little bit in water. And he asked for it every night
Wow.
thereafter until he passed.
Wow, I'm not surprised. Yes, and they are wonderful remedies to give to animals as well. I would just put them in water when I had cats. So, yeah, even if you don't know you're getting it, that's amazing. I always thought that was the real test because the cat does, what is that? Okay, they don't, who's Dr. Edward Batch is, I think, how they're supposed to say it. But yeah, it is pretty amazing. And I always say, don't leave home without it because you never know when you're going to meet someone who really needs it. Maybe they just had some sort of trauma or crises, or you meet someone and they're, sobbing hysterically. Like life can be tough. So it's good to know that there's some tools. And unfortunately, when people are really stressed, they might say, well, I'm really stressed. I don't have time to eat healthfully, but it doesn't take a lot longer to know, well, where's the healthier restaurants I could go to? Oatmeal doesn't take a long time to make. You can have gluten-free toast. You can buy the pasture eggs, as well as, just as easy as the,
Exactly.
horrible.
And those good eggs you can boil and have, in a little tub in the fridge and take one, as a snack somewhere else, so that if you're hungry through the day, you can have a boiled egg, and that is a wonderful food that you've got right there. So
Mhm.
there are lots of different things, and I suspect that viewers will understand why I like your book so much, because it
Thank you
is
so much.
absolutely packed with wonderful ideas that people could easily incorporate into their lives, as well as ideas that probably require a little bit more thought, which is no bad thing. So, Bridget, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. If you send me a link, I'll put it on my social media and all that.
I most definitely will. And in the meantime, also, I'll be putting a link for the book in the description box. And if people want to find you, how do they do that?
I'm at BrigitteMars.com. You just have to spell Brigitte right. My mom is French Canadian, so Brigitte, Mars like the planet. Thank you so much. Many
Thank
blessings to you.
Thank you, and likewise. And thank you all for watching. Next time, we're going to be having a little look at religion. Until next time, goodbye.